Like, yo, we do seasons. I know a lot of podcasts don't really do seasons, but I want to talk about the reason why we do seasons. Because
Right.
at the end of the season,
it's a very significant thing.
Yeah, it's a book that we were producing. So before we drop season 3, book on the way.
V, you ready?
Ready when you are, Mark.
So we can just get to it.
Woof, woof.
3, 2, 1.
And we are back with another episode of Fuck You Money with Ty and Yo. I'm Yo. That's my man Ty.
What's happening?
This is our book.
Yep.
Coach Playbook Volume 1.
Yep.
When we started doing Fuck You Money, it was because we were working on this book.
Mm-hmm.
I got an opportunity to do a show on AMP.
Yep.
And I was like, yo, y'all should give me a show with Ty.
Yep.
And Ty was like, we should call the show Fuck You Money.
Because that's the name of the last chapter of the book.
Yep.
So, I like marketing.
You are a marketer. Even though, Ty, did you think when you chose the name Fuck You Money, were you thinking about running ads?
No. No, I wasn't. No, I definitely wasn't thinking about it, obviously.
Yeah.
I thought about it after the fact. I just wanted to think about the most outlandish shit to see if Amazon was going to say yes.
Yeah, and I was surprised that they did.
Yeah, I definitely was surprised they did.
But
that's how I knew that shit wasn't going to be real.
Yeah.
I mean, this shit ain't going to last long. Because let niggas do anything.
They were really letting us do anything. I'm impressed that we got...
So I think I was going to cut this shit at the knees.
But what was cool was when Ty decided that we were going to keep doing the show even without Amazon.
Yeah, fuck that.
When you decided that, Ty, I was a little surprised because we had got started, but obviously we only had a certain amount of episodes we had to record for our contract. And I think most people would get to the end of a season if they don't re-up with a company, they'll be like, well, all right, brother, I'll see you later. Like, we did this one season and we can move on. But you were adamant about kind of keeping this thing going. Like, tell me a little bit why.
So, everybody knows I don't like photos. I don't like being on camera. I don't like none of this shit, right? But something that I dislike more than all the things I just named is having so much information about an industry that's been so predatory, like historically, and not getting that information out.
Mm-hmm.
That bothers me more than photos and video.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, the book is one effort to do that. And then Fuck Your Money was another effort to do that.
Thanks, man.
So my driving factor of like, just remove if any money is made, right?
Mm.
My driving factor is that it's documented about not only the story of this book, but talking to people about this information, being able to see and hear and experience things that people are talking about and come here and document it and talking about, oh, yo, if you want to do this, you should be doing it that way. If you want to kind of move this around, you move that around, right? And I'm not going to be able to explain it all in one season, right? Just like I can't write it all in one book.
Right.
Because I'm still living it, right? So I never wanted to be the rich nigga that come back and then write a book. I was like, if I can do it while I'm fucked up and struggling and we can talk about it and people can follow the journey, right? So that was why I was like, well, fuck it, if AMP don't want to do it, we're gonna keep doing it because this information still got to get out, because if it doesn't get out, then I'm going to feel like, why'd I do all of this? Like, yes, I want to be different and yes, I want to make money, but the truth of the matter is I want to go down in the books of change when it pertains to people in media, people in sports. And so that was one of the biggest reasons why I was like, yeah, we got to keep this going.
And people like, I think about, you have the book Nike Dog.
Yeah.
Shoe Dog at your house about the guy that started Nike. And I remember reading it. This is after Michael Jordan, right? After Nike is this $1 billion company. Of course, I'm interested now, but imagine if he was working on the book when he first went to Japan and was learning about shoes. I think following him then would have been way more inspiring because then it would feel possible. You look at Nike now, you might assume I can't do Nike, but...
So the thing about it is, it's this aspirational aspect of things, right? If you read somebody's book before they make it, it makes it feel like you can make it. If you read some shit that's too far along, it might just be aspirational. You're like, man, I would never be able to do this shit, right? So for me, those things are so important. And me personally, I just never wanted to be the person talking about it after the fact. I want to be able to experience and be like, hey, bro, I tried that shit. Come back and be like, yeah, that shit ain't work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And those are things that, you know, by the time when we get into season 3, there's gonna be things that we've created and did business-wise, that we didn't even cover in season 2. Right? So another thing in season 3 that we're gonna end up covering that people are gonna learn about and they'll have more data about it is that Fuck You Money was about the information, but you know, I'm a businessman. So once I realized that, well, I might as well start my own distribution platform for podcasts. Since I'm going to be spending so much time on this show, I might as well turn it into a business so that if this show don't make no money, the information gets out of there, and then I don't lose any money because I'm going to start a business around it. And other podcasts that we can attract because of our nature, our culture, the things we want to do. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I know you were different than other people I've done like podcast stuff with. Because everybody else, we used to be hanging out. Like, I had a podcast called Something to Say with 2 of my really good friends, Christina Lee, who's a journalist, and Jason Lee, who's a journalist. Right. We just wanted to talk about Southern rap. And we did that for like 4 seasons. Yeah. But no one had the business mind to be like, how can we make Something to Say a business? It was just like, we want to have conversations about this subject. And we did it. And I think a lot of people think like that. Like, let's do something based on our interest. Mm-hmm. But how many people can say, let me show you how to make it a business?
So another thing about like that's really key about Fuck You Money, and we're gonna we'll touch on it multiple times throughout the season. Yeah, and we've touched on it multiple times throughout the season. Is you have to understand that you can live the life you want to live, and you got to figure out how to pay for it, right? And so for everything that you do, you got to figure out how to pay for it. So I'm like, I want to do Fuck You Money. Fuck You Money is pretty like, you know, runaway advertisers to a certain degree. Yeah. Right?
It's kind of scary.
So now I got to figure out, well, how to pay for it. Well, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if I know I'm going to be doing this for 4 volumes of a book, right? So that's like 4 to 5 seasons. That's 24 seasons, 25 episodes a season. So that's almost 100 episodes, right? Not even counting all the digital content, all the sharing on socials, 100%. All those different things. So I'm like, how can I make this make sense? Mm. And so launching a podcast network was like the way on making it make sense, right? Because that's the type of person I am. I'm like, I want to gamble. How do I create a revenue stream so that I can gamble? And it don't hurt the baseline of the business. Mm-hmm. And that takes discipline as well, because you got to know, like, okay, I'm going to sell off a percentage of my cryptocurrency, you know, every year because I want to gamble, right? Cryptocurrency is already a risk.
It's already a gamble.
Right? So if any profits I make off of that, I cash out and then I put it in an account, and that's what I gamble with, right? Mm-hmm. Or if I'm like, how can I really like shoes, and like I really want to buy shoes. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, okay, cool. Maybe I can get a vending machine company, or maybe I can do Turo, or maybe I can, you know, consult for somebody. And that money that I make is only going to be for shoes. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make it about nothing else, because I'm only consulting because I want to buy shoes. Right?
Have you always compartmentalized things in that way? Like
over time, when I started to understand tax strategy, I started doing it when I started understanding tax strategy. Because tax strategy basically says this: if I make $100,000 a year, right, and I start 2 businesses on the side, right, your tax strategy would be, if you're not trying to buy anything, take 40% of that $100,000, invest it into these 2 businesses. These 2 businesses are going to go out and do whatever that these 2 businesses are going to be like designed to do. And it's a tax write-off for whatever they do. Then it's a tax write-off for you investing into the business dollar for dollar. So now you're only paying taxes on $60,000 versus $100,000, right? And you still have access to the money to go out in the community, hire an assistant, start a new business, try to start a product, roll a product out, right?
Now, one of those businesses ended up grossing $100,000.
Right? And so you still It's not about avoiding taxes. It's about using the money throughout the year to create money so you can afford to pay the tax difference, right? So that you're just not working. Then you get back to the end of the year, the tax been hitting you. When you get it to the end of the year, you don't pay like $30,000 in taxes. Well, you're gonna have to pay that anyway.
Right.
So why not keep it, file exempt, keep all the money that you can for the year, be disciplined and figure out ways to invest it, or figure out ways to start new businesses. So at the end of the year, your books shows that you just invested into 2 different businesses, right? And these businesses are operating in the red.
Yep.
You're happy because you got these businesses. These are seeds that you got to start building on. You're investing into them. And Uncle Sam is going to always reward you. Uncle Sam don't reward people that don't start businesses.
That part. Now, did you always have, well, I guess you didn't always have that in mind, but at what point did you start understanding taxes?
Man, I started to understand taxes before I was even managing Forte Bowie.
For real?
I got connected with somebody on the tax side that worked at the IRS for like 20 years. And funny thing about it, I ended up linking up with him like recently because I met him again in New Orleans, but he didn't remember me. I just remember his name and his number still was in my phone because Cersei had connected me with him. And I was like, man, I'm trying to learn about the tax shit because, we always trying to hustle. So it was like all type of shit with the taxes that we was trying to figure out. And so, but I never connected with him. I just had his number. But he was like, this guy was like the tax guru.
He was a guy.
And because he worked at the IRS for 20 years.
Was he from Atlanta?
I can't remember.
Can't remember. But when you were thinking about going to the league, football-wise, did you think about taxes?
Yeah.
Hell no. It was just,
I didn't know what taxes was at that point.
Yeah. But I guess that's a part of why Fuck You Money is, well, I feel like very necessary vehicle because when you have dreams, you don't necessarily think about like the Uncle Sam's and how you're going to be in your pocket or...
Yep. That nigga be in your pocket.
You just want to make something, right? You just want to make something. And I feel like since we've been doing the show, I meet so many people that are making things.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I don't know how many of these people are going to have successful businesses, but they have ideas. And it reminds me of how often, no matter what the job market's like, it could be a recession, and niggas going to have ideas.
Right.
Someone's going to want to...
Somebody going to have some ideas.
You're going to meet somebody going to record some songs, and maybe you're going to be the manager, or you meet an actor, and he's trying to figure out how to break in, or shoot, you might invent something and want to understand how to patent it, how to sell it, and things of that nature. So I feel like it's nice having a show like Fuck You Money that you can rely on because I always appreciate that Ty was someone that was doing the work and wanted to share the information. Right. I know a lot of people that do work and be like, I don't want to talk to nobody about nothing.
You know what's so crazy? Now, like before when you didn't have as much success, you can talk about whatever, right? Now, with success, I have to think about the things more that I want to talk about because I want to make sure that I'm not displaying other people's business. That has nothing to do with the knowledge of teaching people, right?
Yeah.
But also the people that work with me, they know like, yo, I'm a sharer of information. Now, I'm not going to share your business, how much you're making. I'll tell you how much I'm making. But I ain't going to share your business about what you're making because that's your story to tell.
Yeah.
But I want people to like understand like, okay, cool. Like this how much money, this particular thing makes. This how much this costs. Or I like, payroll is this amount of money. Because people are witnessing the growth of a business. And for me, with Fuck You Money is a part of the podcast network. That is the podcast network is Culture Media Network. Culture Media is a part of this ecosystem called, Culture Holdings. And I think that it's the interactive media company of the future. I think this is how media companies are going to interact with their departments in 2030, 2040, things of that nature, right? And another thing that really stuck with me about the storytelling and like really just the terminology, Fuck You Money, is that this year when we was doing our Show You Off grants, back in March during International Women's Month, I was thinking to myself, I was going through all these
the submissions.
Submissions, right? Yeah. And it was like 5 of us going through these submissions, 1,500 submissions of all different categories, right? And so I get down to the final 14. And I'm looking at it, man, these women got some incredible ideas. And they out here like, they not just ideas. Like they actually got things like up and running. Like
companies.
Like companies, right? And I'm looking at their presentation. I'm looking at how presentable they are and what they're offering, all of the different elements of it. And we do 10 a year. But this year I did 12 because I got conflicted. I was like, bro, this is good. This is good. And I was already narrowed it down to 14. You know what I'm saying? And the 14 is a collection of me and a bunch of the women that work at the company that went through and picked ideas as well. And so for me, I was just like, man, and there was a lot of STEM and AI and technology ideas, right? And I still feel like it was like 10 to 20 that could have like been in the top 14, 15 too.
Yeah.
And so, me being able to say, I'm gonna give an additional 20,000 because I can't figure it out, right? And for me at this point in my life, that's just me reducing how much money I gamble or how much money I'll bet on something that, or slowing down on really I don't do nothing but like travel and gamble.
I was about
really.
to say.
So I don't really have like a lot of bad habits. I invest into businesses. I travel. I gamble. I play cards. But like even then, I really only play cards when I'm in Vegas. And I'm only in Vegas like maybe like 4 or 5 times a year, right? But then I don't do the tricking off girlfriend stuff. I don't buy a whole bunch of watches and I only got one car. Yeah. That's old school. Yeah. So my spending habits are not that crazy. So I'm really just thinking about, how can I put the money back into this community? And like invest into shows like this. And you know how much we got to move around to do this stuff.
I was wondering, did you never, how to phrase this? Once you start having more success and making more money, did you have habits you wanted to indulge in, or did you always just kind of decide to stay focused?
I always like to gamble, though.
Yeah.
I've been shooting dice and gambling since I was.
But no new habits. You didn't want to go indulge in like a new thing.
like I got a couple of nice watches. You know what I'm saying? When it's all said and done, like I'm probably gonna have probably like 5 or 6 old schools. I got one right now. I'm looking for the second one. Property always been a thing I wanted to like have because, when I realized I like traveling. So I'm like, man, if I got a spot here, a spot there, I can just kind of go relax and things of that nature. But even then, it's not like having multiple houses. As I'm getting older, I'm like, man, if I can have a crib like in Africa, crib in the islands somewhere, Miami, Atlanta, and then everything else is just property that I own to make money off of. But I wasn't like, I'm not trying to stay that many places, right? And I'm always trying to stay where it's hot. If it's hot, I'm there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't like, I'm telling you, my biggest spending habits is investing in the people. That's why I invest in the people and I invest in the money. I mean, in businesses. That's my biggest thing I spend. When I look at my P&Ls at the end of the year, it's like I'm investing into ideas, businesses, which are basically ideas, and then humans.
Which is an extension of ideas and businesses.
Yeah.
And that's its own form of gambling.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's a lot more acceptable form of gambling, right? Because you don't know what is what in these different things when you invest into companies, invest into people. You don't know what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how those different things are. But for me, controlling my time has always been my biggest expense because you just never know what that is going to cost you. But more as I'm getting more, seasoned in my age, right?
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize what really matters to me, right? So what matters is being able to travel, being able to stay in cold weather as much as possible, being able to start new businesses if I feel like it's an idea that can grow, being able to partner with people to start new businesses, to invest into people, make sure my family's straight. Like, it's a lot of base level things, like, from that perspective. But I don't have no kids at this particular moment. You know what I'm saying? I don't have, like, a very expensive lifestyle. So, like, over the next 2 to 3 years, I'm investing so much of the money that I've worked for and earned into just, like, infrastructure and, like, businesses and ideas startup. I mean, Show You Off Grant is a great, great thing, man, because I'm going to go back to these submissions and it's going to be a company that's like, I can say, yo, I wonder if they're raising money. And I can just reach out to them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got access to this fund that only thing they invest into is Black women. And I would like to put you forward to it, right? So the grants is one thing, but the data that we collect,
is a whole
nother different thing.
Yeah.
You learn about it. People got debt. Some people are more giving of information than others, right? And so that's something that's like, if I sit down and I'm thinking about where's some good ideas at, I got a database that I can go and find.
I had a crazy situation one time where we were working with Tidal at DJ Booth, and they had asked for a bunch of pitches. So I submitted a bunch, and they actually turned them all down. So just
you pass out of here.
So 6 months later, my editor came back to me and was like, "Hey, you got any ideas?" And I went back to those old pitches, and one of them was life lessons I learned from Jay-Z. But at the time, my sister-in-law, she just found out she was pregnant.
Oh.
So I wrote life lessons that I would pass down to my niece that I learned from Jay-Z. Joint comes out, goes crazy, right? When Jay turned 50, Tidal came back and asked me to write 50 life lessons that I learned from Jay-Z.
Uh-huh.
That's an idea that they turned down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like 7 or 8 months prior, and then they came back. So I know the ideas that sometimes don't get picked for the thing, they're super valuable later. And I think you also helped me understand the value of one story.
Yeah.
Right? We did one story. This is all based off of one interview that you didn't think I was recording. So I think that it's more interesting now that we got cameras, we got lights. It's a lot more, the way we document, I think, is a lot more intentional now. But I want to ask you the conversations with the people that we've been having. Who do you remember talking to that kind of stuck out this season?
I really enjoyed talking to Susie about the tech stuff. Really enjoyed talking to Heather about just women in life. Sherry was great, just talking about the marketing side. Obviously, LaRussell was great, even though that damn dog was barking all the time. LaRussell is a very interesting case study because of this, the thought process of his thinking, the way he want to operate his business. And it ain't for every artist, and it ain't for every manager to manage, because it's a very self-sufficient thing and he has a lot of control, which I respect. Had a really great time talking to Samson, my African brother, talking about, gratitude, patience.
Ooh, man.
The stories that he told was incredible.
Bro, that was Miami Heat was in playoffs. Was it the finals?
Yeah, I think it was the finals.
And they came over after the game. And I thought that was so cool just because of doing a night interview. And obviously, you guys had a lot of great respect for each other, but he sat down and told us that story about patience and how he got his first investment. And I remember hearing it and just being like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious? You can have that kind of energy, and to know that it was something that we were recording, that's something that people were going to be able to hear and share and things like that. And it's not, all of these talks, as they come out, I'm replaying them myself and kind of remembering certain things. And I like the one we did with Monica at the bar, the Scar Bar. Yeah. And she was telling us a story about that woman who said, I don't want you to think this is a plantation. Yo. She
definitely said plantation.
I was like, there's no way someone could say that to you today.
Without getting canceled.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
But I think the people that we spoke to are all seasoned in their industries, and they're they have a wealth of knowledge to share. Right. And you know what I'm saying? This platform allows people to do that.
Yeah. I mean, as we just continue to grow it, I think that bringing people on, because I didn't want to just go and get a whole bunch of famous people, right? Because this show is not about famous people. Right? I'm pretty sure that there will be people that's going to be famous that's going to come on the show. But the show is more so about how are you using your craft to position yourself better for Fuck You Money? How hard are you working towards that? And also letting people know these are new faces that you probably have been to one of their shows or, use one of the companies they invest into or like.
We had Malcolm Mays, so you might have seen him on TV.
Right.
But hearing him talk about exit strategy, you're not going to get that watching Power.
No.
But hearing it in an interview setting, and that was, was it the Grammys or BET?
That was Grammys.
Grammy, and we had the culture party.
Yeah.
And Ty was like...
Oh, yeah, BET. Oh, BET, last summer. Yeah, it was BET.
He was like, we're going to go down there. We're going to pull somebody up. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was such a interesting idea because it's like, who knows who's at this party? But that's kind of like the fuck you money thing. Like, look who we pull up with us and have conversations with. But when I started thinking about book 2, I remember To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick's second album.
Right.
And on the intro, he has a snippet of Dr. Dre saying, you came to my house and you said, oh, I want a house like yours. And I told him, I was like, man, it's easy to get it. The hard part is keeping it.
Right.
And I feel like seeing your growth over time, I'm like, well, Ty will show you how to get it, but how do you keep it?
How you keep it is very important. It's crazy because like I don't start writing in volume 2, and I'm already snapping.
Yeah, you already.
I'm like, I was on the plane riding. I was like, man, because every chapter, every book start off with discipline, but it just talks about discipline in a different way, right? And all of those different elements of it, and then and then it goes to these different pockets, and I think that I'm excited about volume 2 because I get to write it knowing that people want to. I didn't know if people really wanted, like people talked about it, but it's a difference when people like, you start selling units, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, you don't touch, I think probably like 700 people bought the book, something like that, give or take.
And something that I'm really excited about is the vinyls.
Yeah.
Too, like packaging the book with more interviews, more talks, things of that nature. And I was telling that to a homie of mine. He was like, bro, I had that as a dream when I was 16 to have vinyls with interviews. But he was like, I never did it.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing about Fuck You Money, the book. And I hope other writers and journalists understand that like you can produce your own stuff.
Right. Because you got to think about it. Like we're basically taking journalism audio-wise, and we're turning it into hard and soft goods.
Yes.
If you take, this the new American dream, you put it on the shirt.
Yeah.
Or if you put Fuck You Money on the shirt, or it's like things that you say that's catchy, then you put it on the shirt, or you make a book bag out of it, or you make, vinyls, whatever the case may be.
Seriously, like
right, real thing.
But I don't think, like as a community, the journalists that I'm in community with, very rarely has it been done like independently. Like maybe you do like a little one-off thing, but everyone's perspective is, I need like a book deal to produce a book, or if you're working for a publication, you might not even own your work anymore. Like you might, you might slide over. So you wrote it, but you don't own it to be able to take it and repurpose it and put it in other places. And like, when my first book was just a collection of essays, at the time, I owned all those essays. So when the publisher came to me and asked, like, hey, do you want to have a collection of essays? And I always wanted one. Like, I always wanted I thought I had so much writing that on a website would not live.
Right.
So I wanted to collect, but I didn't know how to do it. I never thought about being able to produce it myself. So when it got produced, I was like, oh, shit. Okay, cool. This is something that you can do. But again, that was still somebody coming to me and offering an opportunity to do it versus me being like, bro, I just wrote 45 essays this year. I'm about to package all of them in a book.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, at the end of the year, I'm going to package all my essays.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I should have been thinking. But, like, at the time, you're just trying to think about, like, how can I make enough money to pay rent, get lights on?
I mean, to be honest, man, I thought that we was going to have a harder time producing this book until the Russell gave me about how he did his. He's like, you just go to 48-hour books and they'll do this, they'll do that. I was like, for real?
Yeah.
And that shit got back so fast. I was super grateful of that, but I would have never learned that, like that. I feel like me giving information opens up a portal for me to receive information for the same things I'm trying to figure out Because I ain't figured out everything yet. And I'm not going to figure out everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to die not figuring out some shit. You see what I'm saying? Everybody will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm super grateful that anybody that's came on the show or been super helpful is like, well, if you're trying to do this, just go to this site or this is the company that can do that, shit like that.
I just end up sharing some of the AI stuff you've been sharing in the group chat with somebody. It's like, man, I was looking for a video editor for AI. And I was like, hey, bro, I got one for you. Ty, put this onto this. So everything kind of gets passed down. And I always believe that shit comes back around in some form or fashion.
Definitely do come back around.
Is there anything this season we did not talk about that you like, man, season 3, I definitely want to touch on this?
I don't think we talked about getting it and losing it. Right? I don't think we talked about how important it is to be aware that you can get it and lose it.
It can be gone.
Right. And like that's cases with like lottery winners. There are cases with athletes.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we really talk about that enough because we can't talk about fuck you money without talking about people that fucked up the money.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Fuck
so
money,
that's some of the things that we thought about. And what I've learned through my extensive journey through the script clubs of Atlanta, Georgia, of all the money being blown and making it rain and watching people do the shit. And I realized I'm like, if you're making money, right? Let's say you're doing $500,000 a year, right? And that's a lot of money when you start looking at the people. When you look at the data, that's a lot of money, right?
The percentage of people make.
And let's say you take half of that, and that's how much your person made. So you got one partner made $500,000. You got another partner made $250,000. You got another homie that made $125,000.
Like $125,000, yeah.
Right? And this y'all partners, y'all rolled around together, whatever the case may be, right? And let's say nobody has real habits, but they do like to go to Vegas every now and then.
Right.
Go to script club as a
like they like to go out.
They like to go out.
That's
right?
as big as a habit as it gets, right? But it's not like a one thing.
Right. So them going out and spending a couple of grand at the script club, having some fun.
Yeah.
Or going to Vegas, gambling a couple of grand, having some fun, right? Those two activities. If you don't have no other hobbies, if you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't live outside of your means, then that part of it is a healthy expense of like activity.
Community,
right?
Yeah.
And you're building with your people. That's something y'all love to do, whatever the case may be. But if you going to the script club and you going out 5 times a week and you drinking and you smoking and you eating out and you got a car note that you spending way money for, then you got a big ass apartment that you don't even need that costs that much money. Now these things compound. And I don't think we talk about that enough on the show.
We touched on it with Shiny Prison, which is one of my favorite episodes.
Right.
Because you clarify how easy it is to live outside of your means into a prison.
That prison be shiny.
So whenever I was just having a conversation with one of my boys. He just got like a good job making some money.
A good job. Get you a good job.
What's he doing? Tricking off.
Oh,
my man's tricking off, man.
He over there.
OD, man.
And make sure he ain't that Claremont lounge.
Well, he not a Claremont, but at his age,
Claremont audience is for people that retired from pimping, retire from like, you know what I'm saying? Like you ain't trying to do that. You just trying to see some exercise.
A little. Just not at the gym.
Yeah.
But, it is my dog. So, we've been kind of talking through it. But when he started kind of telling me what he was doing, I was like, hey, bro, you just got this job. Like, I kind of want better for you than this. But it's because I can understand, based on what you're telling me, where you're headed.
Right.
The direction you're headed is shiny. But you're not going to like it, bro. You're not going to like it. And I really appreciate conversations like that because I don't really have too many people that we have these conversations with about stuff like that. Like, yo, yeah, bro, everyone I know that got a raise, upgrade something. Upgrade their car, upgrade their crib, upgrade.
It's not smart.
It's like, I really don't. I got one homie, Titus. He kind of like you.
Uh-huh.
He used to play football. had a serious injury. He was playing semi-pro. He's playing semi-pro football, had pulled his meniscus, or injured his meniscus, ended up, he stopped playing football. He started hanging out with me, started shooting camera shit, right?
Right.
But yo, when I talk about this is like my most budget ass friend, like coupons, taking pictures at the gas pump. Like he knows where every dollar is going. And I fuck with bro because when we first started doing cameras, we were doing concerts, we were doing like Orange Bowl football games, we were shooting everything. He has now upgraded to doing like real estate photography, where now getting clients shooting houses. I was like, bruh, you don't gotta edit no pictures based on somebody's face. You don't gotta being a photographer, if you taking pictures of people, they have comments. When you take pictures of a house
don't talk back.
It don't, and you can do 4 or 5 shoots.
Yeah.
In a day. And like the way he's been able to turn this into like a business, he was telling me about his overhead, how much camera costs, all this stuff. And I was like, man, you were playing football and you came to a couple of shoots with me and now you figured out how to make this into a business. I was like, I see his future's very bright.
Yeah, I like niggas like that.
Yeah. He efficient. He real efficient when it comes to stuff like that. But, you see your homeboy doing that, and you got your homeboy tricking off. It's like, okay, well, who was the better?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Who gonna get some fuck you money?
Right.
It's gonna be my dog with the business because he gonna get 3
like,
or 4.
Fuck you money, you fucking up your money.
Fucking up your money, man. You know what I'm saying? So that shit is very real.
Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, you start thinking about like the concept of money as it relates to how life operates. It's really like not that important. Like it's important, but when you start thinking about life, you like, all right, so what are the things that I really give a fuck about? Obviously, I care about waking up, right? I care about my family being safe.
Yeah.
Right? I care about, community, right?
Yeah.
And I care about like how I look and how I feel, right? And so you can argue that money has nothing to do with none of those different things, right? You can say to somebody like, well, if you ain't got no community, if you ain't got no money, how you gonna get a community?
Yeah.
Like, or you ain't got no money, how you gonna know how you feel inside? It's like, nah, because money is a tool. And I ain't never heard nobody say that this wrench helped them feel better inside. Or this table just gives them a sense of community. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what money is. It's a tool to help you grow closer to the people that you want to support, to get you closer to invest into the things that you really believe in, and to really like invest into yourself. You know what I'm saying?
But why do you think people treat somebody with money differently than they treat someone who doesn't have any money?
I think that's a level of immaturity. I know why they do it, because they want something. You know what I'm saying? Like, people seem to really, really want something when it comes down to the haves and the have-nots. You know what I'm saying? If having a whole bunch of money was like having a whole bunch of recyclable cans pushing around a buggy, if that was the version of having money, niggas would be around them niggas with the motherfucking cans pushing, you want me to push a buggy? I'll push a buggy for you, bro, if you want me to. You know what I'm saying? The moment money shifts into a different medium, right? Now you see how people change. Because there are a large amount of people that only want to be around somebody because of what they can afford for them and what they can do for them and the services they can do for them. You know what I mean? And another thing that's very important about fuck you money that we did not talk about is how fuck you money gives you more clarity to point out things that don't really service you. Like, once you understand what you're working towards, you can sit back and be like, no, I'm not fucking with that.
Yeah.
But if you constantly hustling, bustling, job here, job there, catching my girlfriend, trying to be my mama, me and my brother, my dad want me to do this, and you're constantly on the go, and you don't have no level of organization that you can control your time, which is the essence of fuck you money, being able to control your time to say, okay, let me slow down. I don't like how bro was looking at me last night. Like, I just met him. It feels weird. You can kind of identify things that feel weird around your environment, your ecosystem, when you are not scraggling or scratching to like climb to the top at something, or like overly competitive. Like I'm competitive, but like not at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? I'm not competitive at 6 o'clock in the morning. If I am, that means I'm lifting weights with myself, right? So that gives me time at 6 o'clock in the morning to reflect, right? I'm not stressed out. I don't have no job. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go to the job. It gives me a very clear sense of thinking to be able to think about, how was the week?
Right.
How do I feel about the week? Man, that person yelled at me at work. How do I really feel about that? You know? But when you constantly going, you're not thinking about, you're just not thinking about none of that stuff.
The nuances of it.
No.
I wanna hear more about you. I want to hear you talk about being organized and how you were able to organize your life and your business.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that is something I really have been working harder at, because I wasn't an organized person in the way that I needed to be as an owner.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I only knew how to be organized to turn in essays.
Right.
Because that was my job, was like, you got to turn it. So it wasn't like they were my jobs, the positions I had before. They weren't training me to be an owner of the company. They were training to be a journalist.
Right.
That turned in essays.
Right.
I need you to interview this person.
That's all I need. Turn it in.
So your mindset is different when you have a role to play versus being an organized boss that has employees, that has companies, that has money coming in and coming out. That's something that I want to hear you talk more about, because I remember a conversation that we had once about when you first met Jane and you were trying to show her the deck you made for culture and how she didn't understand it. She didn't get it. I think that's really important to talk more about. Is like, there's a point in time, there's a version of this where people probably didn't understand it.
Right.
But like, how do you go from being misunderstood to like operating?
People understand structure.
Mm-hmm.
Black and white. If I go out the door and the elevator don't work, right? And I gotta go down the stairs, down 20 flights of stairs, that is a lack of infrastructure, right? It's an operating thing. So if I go out that door and I click on the button and the elevator works, that means now I saved myself time, and now I've experienced convenience, right? So there's multiple levels of infrastructure, right? Now having stairs is infrastructure because you still can get from the bottom to the top. It's just not convenient, right? It's just like a longer route.
Yeah.
It's just not conducive for your feet. It's just a whole bunch of things you can just bitch about, right? And so for me, when I think about my business, when I think about infrastructure, I think about, if I'm organized, that procures structure, and structure gives me convenience. If I have convenience, then I can start as many companies, or I can be as successful as I want to do because I have spent the time to develop the structure. So I think that people really just don't value or understand how structure can explode their business. It can really impact their bottom line. And for me, I didn't have no choice because I was trying to like be on. I was trying to get on. So I was like, I'm gonna get on through being smart and being educated and doing the work. That's the decision I made in terms of like why my organization and why skill sets. I was told by a few people that they know a lot of like executives that don't answer their emails, don't respond to their emails. And I'm like, what? You'd be lucky if 2 days pass by and I ain't respond to my email, especially when I'm trying to get me some money. The email is where the money is. The money is in the email. Like, it ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're trying to get some money, somebody in the email, like, trying to give you something that can connect you to some money. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
But when I learned that, I was like, that's crazy. I would have never thought that somebody running a company don't check their email.
I can tell you, I'm not surprised. I can tell you absolutely, I am not surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised.
But, but that's why, again, I think the show's important to let people know these things, because there's a lot of different ways of running a business, right? Some are efficient, some are not that efficient.
Yeah.
But at least we're presenting an option. You know what I'm saying? An opportunity. All right, books. Get you a book.
Definitely get you a book.
One of the best ideas in the whole book, Ty, was the checklist.
Yes.
I thought the checklist was a brilliant idea that if you don't get this for nothing else, get it so that you are organized with your structure. Because it tells you everything you need if you're an artist making music. And I think you can apply it to any business. If you got a business that has like a social media store, it's in there. It's going to tell you what you need to be efficient. And I think that's 100%. What I really fuck with. You know what I'm saying? It's about efficiency.
Gotta be efficient, man.
So that is it for season 2 of Fuck You Money. We will be back with season 3 real soon. We'll be back with volume 2 of Culture Playbook real soon. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll see y'all on the other side.
Shout out to Usher.
Shout out to Usher.